Hi everybody, I'm Matthew Dixon, the founder of eBay.io cryptocurrency ratings platform, and I'm pleased to join you today on Traders Report with 3.0 TV. So I thought I'd start today just by showing people how to count waves. Now these are not Elliott waves, these are actually waves within a cycle. And so we have different wave numbers. And so for example, 3 waves is corrective, 7 waves is corrective, 11 waves is corrective, and then we have, in terms of impulsive waves, we have 5 waves are impulsive, 9 waves, 13 waves. So it's very important to count number of waves within a cycle. So, for example, a cycle is a complete upward move or downward move. So this upward move here is a completed move to the upside. So it's a cycle. It can be classed as a cycle, and this movement down is another cycle. So if we look at the number of waves here, so for example, we've got the first wave here, second wave. So the first wave takes you to a new high in this cycle. The second wave takes you to a higher low in the cycle. Then the next wave takes you to a higher high in the cycle. And the next wave here, 4, takes you to another higher low in the cycle. So we keep going for higher highs and higher lows whilst we're going in an upward cycle. So higher high, higher low, higher high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high. So we have 11 waves in this cycle. Now, if you remember, I just said 11 waves is corrective. So that means this is part of a correction. It may be a completed correction or part of a larger correction. So we have 11 waves to the upside here. And now we need to count the waves to the downside. And we actually have, if we count again here, we have basically lower lows and lower highs all the way down. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and so on. And again, we have 11 waves to the downside. So we have now a corrective wave to the upside. And remember, 11 is corrective. So we have another corrective wave to the downside. And so we have correction up, correction down. So we now need to have another move to the upside, which can either be corrective or impulsive, just depending on the particular form of the Elliott wave cycle we're looking at. But what I would say is because this is corrective up, corrective down, the movement higher now would most likely be higher than this previous level here, but it would be part of an overall larger correction. So although we're going to move beyond, I suspect we're going to move beyond this high here, it's going to be part of a larger correction. So we're looking here at pump.fun, and we have here a correction to the upside, a correction downside, and we're now moving higher than this level here, but it's still part of a larger overall correction. It's very important to understand this, and this is what I would call a micro analysis of waves. And it just tells you whether you are impulsive or corrective and gives you a good idea what to expect moving forward. So with that in mind, we'll look at Solana, for example. Now, Solana's been really very much in the news of late. It's getting a lot more institutional adoption. So it's actually outperforming a lot of tokens, and we can just see that today if we look at the performances of all the tokens that I've got listed here. I mean, Pump.Fun has outperformed, but other than that, Solana is the highest performer. So Solana is definitely the highest performer of the main tokens at the moment. So far today, 4.27% to the upside, looking very nice. So again, let me just scroll out. I'll go on to daily with Solana. Very important to try to see where we're at in the overall picture. Remember what we just looked at with Pump.Fun. So I'm going to scroll out even further to go right back again. I did this yesterday, or the previous recording I did with Bitcoin, and I've done it with Ethereum, looking back to the FTX low. That was a very important cycle low. And I like to do counts from that cycle low because it was a really important crossroads where we moved from bearish to a positive cycle, a bullish cycle here. So I think we can clearly see that we've had from the FTX low a wave 1 up, 2 down, 3 up. Bearing in mind a wave 3 itself will be made up of 5 waves, and we have that clearly internally. We can see wave 1 up, 2 up, 3, sorry, wave 1 up, 2 down, 3 up, 4 down, 5 up. And we can see alternation between wave 2 and wave 4. Wave 4 is much deeper. Wave 2 is very shallow. There's quite a good alternation there. So we've got wave 1 up in red, 2 down in red, 3 up in red, ABC, 4 down in red. That's really nice and clean. and then a fifth wave here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, broken into 5 waves where we don't have wave 4 overlapping wave 1. That's the same in both cases. So they're perfectly valid Elliott wave counts, and it looks really clear to me that we have a 5-way move to the upside. So that is an impulsive cycle to the upside. We're now working on a correction, and a little bit like pumped up fund that we looked at. I think we've had corrective down. I think we're actually working on corrective up. So we're going to stretch this chart a little bit to open out a little bit now to see this movement from the previous all-time high, which was $295 right up here, and look at the move down. Was it corrective or impulsive? Now, I would basically say, in my view, it is clearly a corrective move down. And the reason I'm so confident in saying that is, and I mentioned this before, that we have from the all-time high $295 here. Just interestingly, while we're here, by the way, you can see we have bearish divergence. So we have basically higher highs in price. And if I just draw a line there, trend line there, we've got a beautifully corresponding lower highs in RSI. That tells me there's bearish divergence. Told me we're going to get a downturn. It happened right on cue, really. And we started moving downward a lot in price. So from $295, we actually got our signal there at $262, and price fell all the way down to $95. So massive signal, massive, really, really important. And what we saw was a move down, and basically we saw a triangle formation here. Now, a triangle formation is very important in Elliott wave terms. It's one of the most predictive wave patterns that there is, and it only occurs in a wave 4 position, a wave B position, or a wave X position. So it doesn't occur in wave 2 position. So we can't count this as wave 1 and then wave 2 up, because it doesn't occur in a wave 2 position. So it tells me that this is now an A wave down. This is a B wave triangle. It can't really be anything else. It's too early to be wave 4. We haven't got the 3 waves before it. So it has to be a wave B position, or it could potentially be X, but it doesn't matter. It's part of a correction, the beginning of a correction to the downside from this 295 all-time high. So because it's a correction, it tells me this whole move here is corrective to the downside to 95. So either the correction is complete here. So again, like pumped up fund that we looked at, either the correction is complete or it's part of a larger correction, which is basically corrective down, corrective higher, then another big move down. Bearing in mind, we've already had a completed cycle to the upside, I believe, in 5 waves. What that tells me is that we're unlikely to break this $295 for Solana, even though we have great institutional adoption and recognition, and people piling into Solana. It's even the retail chain of choice at the moment. So Solana is very positive, but as I say, we have correction down. Now, the big question is, real big question is this movement up now? Is the correction complete here? And then we're moving on a new upward cycle, impulsive cycle, or is it just part of a larger correction, being corrective down, corrective up, then another move down before we then potentially move to new all-time highs? So I would say that from this, and again, I'll probably open it out in a shorter time frame in a moment, but from this low point here, I think that we're looking corrective to the upside. So that would probably tell me that we have correction down, correction up, which can get towards the previous all-time high of 295. Most likely won't exceed it. It can exceed it. Even if it's a correction, we can have what's called an expanded correction. It could exceed it, but not by a lot. So I'm looking for this to be a correction and a turning point. And really, I'll be looking at the internal wave count to try to tell me when that's finished. So the move up, I can see it looks to me as an A wave. It looks like 5 waves up. We could even count it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be an A wave higher. It could be an A wave or a wave 1, but because we have all this messing about here, overlap again with this move down, I think it's corrective to the upside. So we've had that big correction down from 295 down to $95. I think we're correcting higher now. And how would I calculate where this is likely to go? So I think that we've had an A wave, that was 5 waves down, then ABC for B wave down, And then we've got a move up here, probably in 5 waves again, to give us an ABC. That's a W wave. Then we've got a very clear ABC down for an X wave. Then I think we're working on an A, B. So probably 3 up, 3 down, and then we're going to get 5 waves up to complete a C wave, which will complete a larger Y wave. The most common relationship is if I measure the W wave, transpose it to the X wave, 100% is normally the expectation for the Y wave. Not always, but that's the most common expectation. So if that is the case, that would tell me that Solana is likely to rise to this level here, $266. That would be the most likely expectation. So hence, I'm quite bullish on cryptocurrencies. On Bitcoin, we're currently 213,000, which is great. And I'm expecting that to break to new all-time highs, or at least challenge the previous all-time high. But I'm looking at ideally around that $226,000, sorry, $126,000 for Bitcoin. I'm looking for new all-time highs again for Ethereum, and I'm looking for probably ideally $266 on Solana. So plenty of upside. We're currently on 211 to 1150 at the moment, so plenty of upside to come. It is looking bullish. So if we have had from the X wave, had an A and a B, we should get 5 waves now for a C wave to complete that move to the upside. So I am bullish, but there's there are limits to my bullishness here. Now, interestingly, we had a buy zone. I think we need to look at the 4-hour time frame to see that probably better. I had a buy zone where, again, I probably need to go even to the 1 hour just to see where it was. But my buy zone was showing, I'm going back to the daily. Yeah, not really important. We had a couple of levels here, a couple of areas where we could have bought in the buy zone. We just dipped into my buy zone for Solana and had 2 tremendous profit opportunities. If we bought here and dollar cost averaged in, buying here and buying here, we're massively in profit at the moment. I'm still holding those. I'll probably protect just below this level here. So I still get a decent profit out of it no matter what happens. But the likelihood is we could actually continue all the way up to at least 266, maybe beyond. But that would be my target. That's where I'd look probably to take profits, or if not take profit, at least protect much nearer that high there of 266 if we reach that level. So that's how it's looking at the moment. That's how the Elliott waves are showing right now. But we do need to be a little bit careful because you can probably see here that we have some bearish divergence in place. So we've just got higher highs in price. Yeah, and we've got corresponding lower highs in RSI. So there's potential for a correction. So I'm always wary, and that's why I'll protect some of the profits from this buy zone. I will be protecting some of those profits. So no matter what happens, I'm protected. But remember, divergences are, in my view, are not basically valid until we see a confirmation in the candlestick wave pattern. So here, whilst we do have technically, we have divergence with higher highs, and I'll just draw the line in to show that to you. So here we have, clearly you can see we've got higher highs in price, and we have corresponding lower highs, and these absolutely line up beautifully, corresponding lower highs in RSI. So that's very clear, classic, regular bearish divergence. But the thing is, we don't have candlestick confirmation. And so at the moment, I don't have, it's not confirmed as far as I'm concerned. This bearish divergence signal is not confirmed. So I'm quite happy to hold long positions. I would wait for confirmation. And it could even be that RSI grows to well overbought territory and actually eliminates that divergence. That at the moment is a clear possibility. But if that were to happen, as I say, if that were to happen, that's actually very bullish potentially. So at the moment, I disregard the divergence signal. I always disregard divergent signals unless they're confirmed with candlestick confirmations. So that's the case. At the moment, I'm bullish. I think the market's looking great. There's a bit of uncertainty in the markets. I know there's been some outflows with the ETFs, but I think that's going to turn around as we get closer to the interest rate decision. As long as we don't get any negative shocks with high inflation or anything like that. We've got a GDP estimate due out today. Let's hope that comes out pretty much in line with expectations. So as long as the data remains reasonably in line with expectations, then the strong likelihood is we're going to see a cut in interest rates. And just finally, we'll have a look at that, the FedWatch tool. We can see an 87.2% chance that we're going to get a cut, a 25 basis point cut in interest rates coming September 17th. So as long as the data remains on track, that is going to be positive for risk assets, and we'll be climbing that wall of worry. There's enough worry still out there. We'll be climbing the wall of worry, hopefully rising to higher highs on price, continuing that impulsive count. When I say impulsive, it remains impulsive as long as we see higher highs and higher lows. And remember, that's what we're seeing at the moment. So there's nothing to say we won't continue that trend for the time being. So just to summarize, I'm bullish. We're getting towards the weekend. So have a great weekend. Hope that was helpful today. Look forward to catching up again early next week. Bye for now.